Okay, so let's continue on here, and
Sure.
I was just trying to entertain the crowd here the best I can, telling
Yes, sir.
telling some knock jokes and that kind of stuff. But let's get back into it. The first thing on the menu here is you're talking about taxes.
Oh, I was just going to spend a quick moment because I know most of us are pretty tired of them at this point. Everybody should know by now that you have until July 15th. And then if you need to file an extension, you can go to October 15th. But I want to put a little caveat out there to those of you who are expecting your stimulus payments. If you're here in the VI, you'll get it when you get it. If you're in the state side, you will get it when you get it. They know they send it. If you filed your 2018 taxes or 2019, they know to send you the money, okay? You'll get it. But what I want to point out to is those of you who are individuals who are owed child support. What a lot of you don't realize is if you're owed child support, that stimulus payment will be seized from the other person and will be given to the parent who is in arrears. And
Okay.
so if you owe child support and you're behind, you're probably not going to get that, or you shouldn't get the stimulus payment. It will go to the parents. So that's good news for some individuals. Bad news
Okay.
for others. So that's one little caveat that you haven't seen a lot about. And for those of you whose income is tanked, let's tell it like it is. There's a lot of individuals that your income is not going to resemble what it made last year. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
And this may be a perfect time for you to talk to your tax person about whether you should be converting some of your IRAs to Roths or some of your 401k over to a Roth 401k. It's called working the brackets. So if you're in a lower tax bracket this year, we can project from last year. Now's the time to do it. And for those of you who are in the VI or those who might be watching in Texas, some of the other places that have no income taxes, excellent time to do it. May
Okay.
not feel like it, but you can make a little bit of lemonade out of this year if you try.
Okay. Now, is that something that you could help individuals with, the IRA and the 401ks, or would they have to seek
Abs-
assistance of somebody else?
No, I work with taxes and I do projection and those type of things. So sure, be happy to help them. And a lot of times it is just taken, 15 or 20 minutes to do a projection of what do you think your income's going to look like this year?
Okay.
What if I do something differently? What will it look like? And so for some of the viewers, they might be able to convert a couple of $1,000s, or they could convert substantially more than that. I'm thinking of some of my Schedule C business owners. If you end up having a significant loss in your income this year, may be a perfect time to do some different things with your retirement accounts, because it may be a small window of opportunity in 2020 that just
Mhm.
won't repeat itself. We
Okay.
hope it won't,
Okay.
because of course we want everyone to be profitable, but that may not be the case this year.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Um, Topic number two, you talk about here on your list here, the small business COVID issues.
Oh, yes. Now, if you've been paying any attention at all, but I'm still getting individuals who are uninformed, PPP, Payroll Protection Program loans, those are still available. Now, so many people were discouraged when they turned in the applications and they did not get funded the first time. More money is available. Get your applications in before June 30th. That is the cutoff deadline. So you've still got some time. There's plenty of money that is still out there for funding. You
Okay.
need to get them the information, but one thing that people have been a little bit surprised at, we have some individuals that are Schedule C or your self-employed filers.
Hmm.
You need to look at your 2019 return because they want those numbers. If you didn't show a profit, you are not eligible for the loans. So
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah. So if you are starting or relatively new, starting a business, and you ended up with a loss last year, you're not going to be eligible. And that's kind of painful. But it is what it is. So you don't get your hopes up.
Okay. Okay. So that money is coming from the federal government. So are we applying
Yes.
locally, or are we applying to the federal side?
Well, you can apply locally. All of our banks are participating in this, and
Okay.
most of them you can go to their website, because of course we just don't have face-to-face right now. Go to the website, the majority of them on the front page have COVID-19 resources, and they're
Okay.
having a section for small business owners to go in and complete the application, which is very, very quick in most cases. And then they're giving you the list of documents that they want you to email or drop by, but frankly, email is so much quicker. And then they'll get back to you if there's anything else that they need.
Okay.
And an easy way to figure this out is if you take your Schedule C person, if you take your Schedule C and you look at whatever your profit was last year. So I'm just going to pull a round number because I like those.
Okay.
Let's say that your profit last year was $10,000.
Okay.
You take that divided by 12 times 2.5. And make it 12,000. So you're going to have a $2,500 amount that you're eligible for. You can have up to $100,000 in profit and have that divided by 12 times 2.5 number. You potentially could have all of that forgivable if you spend it on the business expenses. And they just changed some things a few days ago. And so that instead of having to spend this money in 8 weeks, you have up to 24 weeks, which is huge.
Okay.
And the other change is if you already received the loan proceeds, because there's been that wave already, understand to go back and relook at the regulations, because now you have to spend at least 60% of the proceeds on your payroll. It was 75% before. So that gives you a little more room for your rent, utilities, or payments.
Okay.
And it gives you that 24 weeks to do it. So I'm feeling that I think it's going to be a very rare case that a person does not have all of it forgiven. You just need to do some good bookkeeping records.
Okay.
That's going to be the key.
Yeah. So if I understand correctly, you apply, if I'm a small business owner, I have to go to the bank and apply with the bank. And provide the bank the papers, and then they take that information and provide it to the federal group, or is that?
Yes.
Okay.
They get it approved, and then the bank puts the money into your checking account, because you will give them your information for your checking account, your routing number, and they will deposit those funds.
Okay.
I have heard mixed things. I've heard one side that says you should deposit those into a new checking account and only use it for expenses that are qualified to be forgiven.
Okay.
I've heard the other side of it that said, no, you don't have to do that. You just need to keep track of the records.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And for those of you who think you're going to double dip, it's not going to happen. If you are given the loan proceeds and they are forgiven, you cannot deduct an expense that was paid for with the forgiven loan proceeds.
Okay.
So if you use this money to pay for your employees' payroll, when you do your taxes, you can't deduct the payroll expenses too.
Okay.
So your accountant will help you on that.
Yeah, but the employee is supposed to file that money.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, are businesses getting the money here in the Virgin Islands?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
There was a webinar earlier today with the it's the Caribbean Entrepreneurs Group and a couple of others, and Wayne Huddleston was on that over with SBA. Yes, we have had millions and millions of dollars in loans that are approved here, and there's still money that is available. A big, grateful round of applause to our banking institutions, because to push these loans out and get them going, those sweet people were working nights, they were working weekends and pushing it. And from what Wayne had indicated, they passed out more money in, I think it was 14 days, than they had passed out in over 14 years of loans here off of this program. So this has been huge for our community. Huge.
Okay.
And if you haven't taken advantage yet, now.
And you said by June 30th.
By June 30th, but go online now and get the process started so you can get your documents in and get the proceeds in the bank and start doing what you need to do. Taxpayers have funded that. You are a taxpayer. This is not charity. This is something that is available and to help the small business owners, because we need our small business in our economies. And Congress, they recognize that. We need us.
Yes.
And look around. We all need each other. And this is a way to try to help get us through something that is unprecedented.
Okay. I got you. Okay. The next thing on our menu here is a new online course that will be launched in 2020, hopefully during the second quarter.
Oh yeah, and Dave, you can throw in stuff anywhere you want. I just tried to give you a few ideas.
Yeah, I'm just
One
following
of
the
the
outline here.
yeah, one of the things I'm really excited about, you can see in my background here a little bit, a couple of the books that I've authored. I have a lot of information, and I deal so much with one-on-one on individuals or small businesses. I had a chance to engage a video team and work with them, and it was in Philadelphia for a couple of days last December. And I filmed my first course that I'm planning to have on the second quarter. I should be up.
Okay.
With the COVID, everything has been behind. But my first course is got 37 modules on it for the small business owner, and it covers everything from saving money on how do you do this, on electricity, what's the true cost of an employee, how do I increase my bottom line, what do I do in the case of an emergency, and it goes through so many different categories that you can go on, and they can be very small where it's in 5 minutes, or it may be much more complex to where it takes 30 minutes to go through a module. And it is how to increase your bottom line by 10, 20, 50, or $100,000. And you can do it more than once.
Okay.
It's a course that is designed that as you have learned some things and have you implemented some changes, that you can go on and then you can learn those, keep using those, but keep adding principles. One of them that I would say that when I'm dealing with small businesses, that they sometimes, I get this, you got to be kidding. We all have advertising expenses. Yes. Whether you spend a little bit or a lot, it doesn't matter if you use Facebook ads, you use the newspaper, radio, billboards. I don't care if you pass out baseball caps, whatever you do with advertising, you're spending money on it. Have you ever thought about what is my ROI, my return on investment for my advertising? I don't buy into the TOMA, top of mind awareness. And I'll give an example here. All right. I'm going to say, David, that you're familiar with what cars are. Do you know what a car is?
CAR? Yes, I do.
Okay. Can you name me a couple of models of cars? Give me a couple of brand names.
There's Honda, there's BMW, there's Mercedes.
Okay. Which one of those do you own?
I don't own any of those particular ones, but I'd like a BMW.
Okay. Top of mind awareness is often something that can be touted to say, well, you want people to be familiar with your name. Well, you just named some brands that is very good at advertising, and they were very good at implanting in your brain because you could say those to me. But top of mind awareness doesn't mean you own it, and it doesn't mean you buy that product. So with your advertising, sometimes when you're doing a program, I have some specific formulas and some ways to show you to break down any program before you ever spend money on it to know if you're going to get a return on your investment. Because if you spend $2,500 on any type of an advertising program, I don't care what it is, and not one person comes in, it cost you $2,500, but it didn't do anything for you. Or if 3 people come in and you make 16, if you do that 10 times, that's a lot of money that didn't end up on your bottom line. So if I can teach you some of these concepts and how the tools to work through it, then you could work through the next advertising program and go, oh, wow, I spent $750 on this and it generated $29,000 worth of sales. Bam, how can I dial this in a little more? And even if it is I spent $800, but I made $2,000, for depending upon what you're doing, is that enough to make it viable versus throwing money down the drain?
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
And so people don't think about ROI on my advertising. So it is really opening your mind to many different ways that you can increase your bottom line that aren't always the ways that you think of. I mean, you can only save so much money turning off a light bulb.
Okay.
That's only going to take you so far.
Yes. And everybody starts a business or gets into a business with the intent or the hope that they will be making money. And as you said there, if you spend $50 on advertising for a week, you're hoping that, at the end of 2 weeks, you've made $1,000, you know, that affects your bottom line. You got a little
Yeah,
profit there.
right. But if you don't, where's the money going? And I have one of my clips that is on the very beginning of it that I talk about your business is a lot like a garden hose. We all know what a garden hose is. And we know what a garden hose is used for. When you turn on the spigot, then the water comes through the hose and it comes out the other end. Now, depending upon how I control that, I can have a little bitty trickle or I could have it under full force. Now, the person holding the hose, now don't they also decide where that water goes? Do they, spray it on a tree or a bush, or they shoot the neighbor's dog? I mean, whatever, somebody is turning the tap on and somebody is controlling the flow of that hose. Your business is like a garden hose. Now, the whole time that money and all of those sales are being pushed through that hose, something comes out the other end. However, have you ever seen a garden hose with a lot of holes in it or a few cracks? How much water flows out the other end? It never makes it out the end of the hose because the hose has holes in it. Your business has holes in it. And all of that money that is going out, like on advertising programs, that's just one I threw out, but there's so many more that are there. That money never ever makes it out at the end of the hose. For the owner to take it home. And what the owner is looking for is profit. So how do we plug those holes? And so that the force of the profit coming out the other end to the owner is dramatically increased. And I see so many things happening over and over that I put the course together because I'm working with small business and I see this and I can walk in a small business and people used to think I was joking. And I'd walk in and I'd say, I believe I can walk in any business and I can find that where you're losing at least $10,000 to $25,000 every year and you can't see it. And some of them are not even really big changes. They're very little changes. But it's a way for you to look back and say, oh, wow, I can do that and do it and implement it and then continuously make some changes, but be able to spot them quicker. So that's what the course is all about.
So tell our audience, if I understood you correctly, you've written a couple books already?
I have, yes. If you go to Amazon.com and you put in my full name, Amy Rose Herrick, you will find 6 books that I have up there. There's one on small business ownership mistakes. As a matter of fact, it's one of them that's over my shoulder that you see. I have one that is family medical issues. Because when we deal with families and medical, I believe that you have a significant medical event, it's going to affect 3 generations. I don't care who it is. All of the resources go towards that individual. And if you can do a little bit of planning in advance with some of our senior members or are incapacitated, I mean, it can be a young child who has autism, who, reaches the age of 18. Theoretically, they're adult, but they're not. So if we can have guardianship papers and power of attorneys and all of these things in place, it helps us be able to take care of each other. The book also includes resources, prescription assistance for some individuals who need that, where you can get them for free or greatly discounted prices. It has a variety of topics in it that help individuals navigate really the medical field, because it's not just having health insurance. That's a tip of the iceberg. The health insurance is one thing, but the bulk of the bankruptcies, on the research I've seen, the bulk of bankruptcies are filed for medical issues. These are people who had health insurance. Health insurance wasn't enough. It wasn't. And so that's one of the books. And then the one you can see that says 25, Knowing Your Life Partner. Let me move a little bit there. These particular ones, there are 3 books. And on those 3 books that I have, the first one is for a first relationship. So 25 questions. And this is not a feel-good book where, oh, I got a score of 27. We're compatible. This has got questions in it for you to actually talk to each other. What is your plan? Things that may not always come up. Have you ever been unemployed? If you were unemployed, what are you going to do? Are you going to sell something to pay your bills? Which ones of your friends can I not stand and I don't want to be around? You need to know that. There's a lot of other things that go along with, because I just want people to have successful relationships.
Mm-hmm.
The one that you can see with the guy that has the red tie and the blue shirt is 25 questions to ask before remarriage, because that's an entirely different endeavor. You've already come out of a relationship. In many cases, there are children. You might even now have, instead of 2 sets of in-laws, we've multiplied that because of our extended families.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another one that is behind me, and you can't see it very well over my shoulder, but it's marriage after retirement.
Okay.
Which is an entirely different phase, because you have different life issues. We need to talk about long-term care. We need to talk about adult kids and grandchildren and retirement. And, what is your retirement? Are you thinking that you want to travel the world and you want to work with the Peace Corps and you're going to volunteer and build wells and villages? Or are you going to sit in front of the TV and I'm happy? So those 3 came out in a series, because when the first one came out and I had individuals reviewing it, they said, oh, it would be so good if you had something about remarriage. So I did that. Wow, this would have been great if you had something for when I retired. All right, we got that covered.
Okay.
And so they're very different, but the goal is to have these conversations and to make the plans so that it's successful. And the worst thing that can happen is you go through there and go, oh no, I don't think that I want this. This is not what I want.
Okay.
So in the back, I even put down, maybe this is a good time that you can see if you can work the issues out, whether it's through clergy or a counselor or some other ways to salvage the relationship on places you're at an impasse. And if not, is it better to know that now than when you are already into it? And it's a whole lot harder to tear those hearts apart.
Okay. You mentioned a word there, and I don't know if you could just talk a little bit about it, but retirement.
Yeah.
And at some point someone will retire. Any thoughts of wisdom on that?
Oh yes. Actually, I'm going to grab something here.
Okay.
One of the things that has definitely changed in my discussions with individuals about retirement is, can I afford to retire? This has not worked out the way that I'd anticipated. We have individuals that are getting divorced later in life. You lose a spouse going into retirement. You thought you were going to have their Social Security and yours, or their pension. You don't. You never married. It's just a very different world. You didn't save as much money as you thought.
Okay.
The hurricane, you didn't have insurance, and all the money you used to have now went into putting your roof back in that ended up being, $85,000 plus, So this conversation is coming up a lot. I wonder if it'll let me. I'm going to go down. Let me take a second here, folks, and I am going to stop my background so I can show you a book that I found that is really something that I recommend that other individuals do. Okay, now you get to see my messy office. All right, see this? Now am I mirrored, or can you see the title?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, this is a book, International Living, Retiring Overseas on a Budget. And if you look down here in this little circle, I got to get right here, on $25,000 a year. And this is living abroad. And this also talks about healthcare, which is a huge thing for most retirees. So it's got healthcare, it's got the cost of living, whether you are renting or buying, and lifestyles and those type of things. So I'm seeing very different conversations about retirement, because individuals are feeling like they're being priced out of being able to stay in the circumstances that they were before. And you don't have to automatically go and live abroad. You can make changes in lifestyles or downsizing. I have found everybody can adapt their living to the amount of money coming in the door.
Mhm.
I just have never been able to find anybody who's been able to adapt their standard of living to zero.
Okay. A little tricky there, eh?
Yeah, and so there are individuals that, because of the way life has happened,
Mhm.
maybe they need to live on Social Security only.
Okay.
They cannot do it wherever they are, and they're looking for other options where they can have a very fulfilling life. But I'm telling you, the biggest one is the medical expenses. I do a lot of taxes, and individuals, between their supplement, their Medicare, their prescription coverage, dental, oh my gosh, the cost of implants and root canals and crowns, astronomical.
Mhm.
They're out of pocket, and their copays, from here, sometimes airline tickets stateside, people are easily spending $15,000 or $20,000 a year on their medical.
Okay. It's a lot.
It's huge if
Mhm.
you're trying to live on just Social Security or a limited amount.
Okay.
And so they have to start looking at other alternatives to still have a fulfilling lifestyle,
Yeah.
but it may not be this lifestyle.
Okay.
And I have quite a few that are looking at going, well, gee, I like this lifestyle, but I can't afford it all the time. So they're living abroad in a much less expensive location for half of the year. And all of the money that was saved by living abroad,
Mhm.
then they're coming back and they have that extra resources now. They don't
Okay.
spend as much on electricity. They don't spend it on food. I mean, there are things that they don't spend it on. They go get their dental done somewhere else.
Okay.
I'm not picking on our local economy because I live here and I need things too. But when people have to make choices,
Making hard choices.
but yeah, because you cannot go into retirement and to maintain a facade or to put a mask on, the mask that I can maintain this, and
Mhm.
then run through your savings within 2 or 3 years. And then you absolutely have to make changes that are intolerable.
Okay.
So that's
So
a big change I'm seeing.
yeah. Well, what about leading up to retirement? 401ks, an option is offered by employers. Is that still the best way to put money aside for retirement?
Great question. Really, it depends on your tax bracket, because it is my opinion, when you're in a low tax bracket, 10 or 12%, don't throw the money in a pre-tax account like an IRA, a 401k, a 457, a 403b, all of those magic initials. When you're in the lower tax bracket, and this is when you should be talking to your preparer or educating yourself, you want to be putting the money away in a Roth IRA, or most of the institutions that have a 401k have the Roth 401k option available.
Mm.
Now, you do not get to deduct anything off your taxes now when you do the Roth alternatives, but then all of the earnings from that are tax-free forever. That's huge,
Okay.
especially in the lower tax brackets. And my comment earlier about now might be the time to convert. Well, what if I've only put all of my money into a 401k? It's all deferred tax.
Mhm.
When I get into retirement, I can't turn around without triggering a tax bill. Because if I'm getting a retirement, let's say that I have a government pension here, GERS or Hovensa or wherever it is, that pension's going to be taxable.
Okay.
Whenever my income as a single person is over 25,000 or 32,500 for a couple, then I'm going to pay taxes on between 0 and 85% of my Social Security. My tax bill just went up.
Mhm.
Now, if I have to take money out of my IRA too, all that money's taxable. And what happens is I can have individuals that I see that are in a higher tax bracket at retirement because they deferred all the taxes than they were when they were working.
Mhm.
So in my perfect world, you want to go into retirement where you have two pools of money. You want to have one that's deferred tax so you can kind of pick and choose which year you want to pay taxes on it. And you want to have totally tax-free money. And a good example of that, let's use that $100,000 roof that had to be replaced.
Okay.
Make it whatever it is. You needed $100,000. You're buying another house. If I am over 59 and a half and I take that out of my Roth IRA, then that $100,000 is tax-free to me. I got it
Okay.
all. IRB didn't get anything. IRS didn't get anything. I'm pretty happy about that. If I take the $100,000 out of my 401k, 403b, or my IRA, if I am under 59 and a half, the first thing that happens is I get a 10% penalty. There went $10,000. Depending upon the tax bracket I am, and I'm pretty sure if you take $100,000 out, you're going to be in a higher tax bracket. You're probably going to give away 24% of it. So I now owe $34,000 in taxes for taking $100,000 out of my IRA.
Mm-hmm.
In most people's cases, they're going to have to take out about $1.50 to $1.60 gross to pay the taxes to net out at $1. And you burn through the money so fast because you're giving so much of it away in taxes.
Okay.
So it's good, but it depends on your situation as to what version that you should use that is best for you.
Yeah.
And you need to talk to somebody, and there's nothing wrong with talking to somebody and saying, hey, I don't understand the difference, or it doesn't mean anything to me. Is this a good deal or not?
Mm.
Just a little bit of education will make an enormous difference to you over a lifetime.
Yeah. Let me ask you a silly question, Amy. So is the Virgin Islands a good place to retire to, or should I retire in a different state, Arizona, or I don't know, does that make sense?
It does. And some things are a money issue. Some things have nothing to do with money.
Okay.
We have individuals who come here because this has been the dream that they have been working for many years to retire in our little paradise. We have other individuals that at retirement they leave because they want to go live near the grandbabies.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it sometimes it's an economic, but in many cases it's an emotional issue. And now with the internet like we're using, we have individuals that are able to work remotely, so they're not really tied to a brick and mortar institution. They have a much more flexibility. I also have individuals that are looking into English as a second language teacher because they can use their computer a couple of hours a day and earn an income wherever, whether they want to, go live with the grandkids for a couple of months a year and live somewhere else. And so they're getting the certifications. It just opens a lot of different options, but it depends on what do you want? And I usually tell people, tell me the top 3 things you want to do in retirement. What are they? And sometimes you got to really think about that. What are the top 3 things I want to do? Well, if one of your top 3 things is that you wanted to play golf all the time, well, you better be near somewhere with golf that you can afford, because are you going to be able to pay the green fees? Well, you may want to play on a fabulous course, but if you can't afford those green fees, that may not be a good location for you.
Yeah, green fees can be expensive.
Yeah. Or what about, I love it here. I never wanted to shovel snow again. I didn't want to see ice again. Ever, ever, never, never. It would not, I don't care if it was the least expensive place to live. South Dakota and North Dakota probably will not be on my list. They have snow.
Yeah.
So it's a very individual thing, but I really feel most people should start really thinking about their retirement 3 years before they plan to retire.
Okay.
And at least the 3 years, because that 3 years is, do I sell my house? Do I downsize? Do I want to move? What about my health? What do I want? How do I already adjust my budget and my resources to the amount that my retirement income is going to be, so that I phase out of my working life, whatever that is, and I am already living on my retirement budget when I decide to exit the workplace? Because people wait too long and then they go, I can't afford this, and they're in a panic. But I think if you start about that 3 years before, it gives you the time to put in place the things you need to do. So when you transition to retirement, takes a lot of the stress out, and it's the retirement that you wanted.
Okay.
Not what somebody tells you you're going to have.
Going to have, yeah, based on what you have, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Long answer, but does that help?
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. Um, Next topic here, you have rental properties.
Oh, this one is coming up and I'm hearing it a lot. Um, we hear rental properties are an investment. Have you ever heard that, Dave? Has anybody ever told you that rental property is an investment?
Well, I've heard a couple, I guess, national folks talk about renting versus owning.
Mhm.
And I sort of get the impression that what they were saying is that renting a place is better than owning a place.
Can be,
Okay.
can be.
Uh, so,
I don't know. So it's like, I don't know, because you hear both things. Well, this will be another course that's coming up pretty quick. I have about 25 more after I get this one loaded that I'll be able to put up pretty quickly. I have a real easy rule of thumb. I can teach this to about anybody. Okay, Dave, we're going to get you to do your math. You're looking at buying a $300,000 property. What is 1% of $300,000?
1%?
1% of 300,000.
Is that 3,000?
$3,000.
Okay.
So when you're looking and someone tells you this is an investment property, the first thing I'm going to have you do is say, look at the value of that property and multiply it by 1%. Now, if you cannot get a minimum of $3,000 a month in rent out of that property, walk away,
Okay.
because you're not going to be able to make money on this property. In order to be a cash cow, you need to be able to charge way more than 1% of the value of the property.
Mm.
Because out of that $3,000 a month, you're going to have insurance
Mm-hmm.
and taxes. And I know that for most properties, you should be spending somewhere between 3 and 5% a year in maintenance costs. You may not spend it every year, but you're going to have the big year where you got to do the septic or the electrical, or you've got to, rebuild part of the bathroom. Stuff happens.
Okay.
Have you priced a refrigerator lately? Oh my Lord.
Yeah, they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's looking like a small car.
Yeah.
And with some of these things, so if I have 3 to 5%, gee, that's $9,000 to $15,000 a year for my repairs and maintenance.
Okay.
You start adding all of this up, and if I have a 1-year lease and I lose somebody and I'm vacant for a month or two, I'm in the hole.
Okay.
I have not made money on this property.
So
And
what makes a good rental property or investment property?
Okay, well, let's take that same $300,000 property. And we know that if I can't get $3,000 a month out of it, it's probably going to just take money from me. It's not going to earn me money. But if I spot that $300,000 property and I could rent it for $4,500 a month, I am way above the 1%. I'm at 1.5. That sucker's probably going to be a cash cow for me.
Okay.
So I don't care what the property is. I don't care how many units are on it. I don't care if it's got 17 units on it, and I don't care. Just tell me, how much is it rented for? Because we can work all the other numbers really quick. But if the first answer is it doesn't rent for at least 1% of value, walk on.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
It's not going to make you money. It's going to take money away from all of your other resources.
Okay.
And there's some other components there, but that's the big easy one. And with this COVID and with the loss of our visitors in the territory, do you know of anybody who has any vacancies?
Not specifically, no.
But have you looked in the newspaper, or have you watched some of the ads on Facebook, Craigslist, some of the others? Have you noticed that the amount of vacancies has gone up? And what happened with some of our Airbnbs and some of these units when we couldn't bring individuals into the territory? What happened to their rental income?
It went away.
What happened to their condo fees? Did those get forgiven?
No, I'm sure they haven't.
What about property taxes and insurance?
No, I'm sure that's still going to be paid.
Who was paying the utilities when that sucker was vacant?
Yeah, I got you.
So I'm saying we've had a pretty good hit in the territory with this too, because it really affected our lodging. I mean, there's tremendous ripple effects. Some of those individuals benefited mightily if they had properties that they were able to do with some of the FEMA and the other. But talk about going from the top of the mountaintop to the bottom of the pit. They've definitely seen the swings
Okay.
on rentals.
But this is probably happening nationwide too, right?
It's happening nationwide, but at the same time, when you go into a property, you got to have some kind of padding here. Because if you're not able to break even at the barest minimum, any kind of a blip that I can't rent the place. Maybe the last person tore it up so badly I can't get it rented for another 2, 3, or 4 months plus repairs.
Yes.
It becomes a black hole that does nothing but suck money out of your wallet.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, that sounds fair. And I'm assuming that this is, I guess, at some point as the economy picks back up, this will hopefully for individuals that still have good rental properties, this will sort of bounce back.
Hopefully, but it kind of depends. I mean, if you look at what our employment status and things may be,
Okay.
what is the rental market going to look like?
Yeah.
I mean, it is a supply and demand. And with our rental properties that are, I would call them vacation or holiday oriented, if our demand is down, then you've got more people competing for the same live bodies trying to fill the spaces.
Okay.
That usually results in price decreases,
Okay.
not increases, and the higher vacancies. It would be lovely to see our doors, bursting, but look at a lot of the individuals that have lost incomes and vacations and things that may have been planned before. Those may not be the priority now. Those resources may have had to go elsewhere. So I think it's going to be a very interesting thing to watch even through 2021.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
How that affects us. And then the people who live here, we have a lot of people that are in the service industry. They really struggle with affordable rents. And we had that, and we've come off of hurricanes and everything else. A lot of our service people are not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't want to lose them. So
Yeah,
it's a supply and demand, but you also have to have the resources.
Okay.
To do that.
Yeah. The other thing you mentioned here on your list is self-employed individuals are eligible for COVID unemployment too. Which I
There
didn't
is
know.
a lot of misunderstanding on this.
Okay.
Self-employed individuals, talking about your Schedule C, K-1 people, are not used to getting unemployment. This is a special disaster unemployment. Yes, it is available in the Virgin Islands. The last thing that I heard and read was that they will not have this available in their processing system over at the DOL until probably later this month. It might be into July. So it's happening. It hasn't happened yet. Now, if you read the regulations, they're going to look at your 2019 taxes and the amount that you had that was your self-employment income. And again, folks, it's got to be a positive number. If it's a negative number, it's not going to help you.
Okay.
It will have that amount is what it's going to be based on to pay you these special disaster unemployment benefits. What you need to understand is the regulations came back and they say that you need to be employed after the first of the year, but you can backdate your claim to January 27th. So even if we can't get paperwork processed until into July or August, your claim, you have to request it, can be backdated all the way to January. So if you had a significant period that you had no income, that can be a windfall later. You're not going to get it immediately, but it doesn't matter. Whenever it comes, it's a gift from heaven at that point. So you need to know that. And then there is an additional $600 a week that is for April 4th through July 25th. And so if you had weeks there that you were eligible for unemployment benefits, you would have the extra $600. Now, it's my understanding, and again, so much changes, folks, that you may get part of your claim paid, but you may not get the $600 extra a week. That may come separately.
Okay.
And what's happening in one jurisdiction can be different than happening in another jurisdiction, but it is a tremendous amount of overwhelming paperwork trying to get all the claims. And I think the last number I heard was they had processed, I think, over 8,000 unemployment claims, and they haven't even started or touched the self-employed people.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And here's a good question for you. When you get unemployment, you think that's taxable or is that tax-free?
It's taxable income.
Yeah.
It always has been.
Always has been. So you have a choice when you're taking it where you can have them hold a little bit of taxes out, or you can do a quarterly installments. But, please don't get surprised. And for some of you, as I'm mentioning, that if you don't get much, but you have a backdated claim where you have a significant lump sum, when that comes in, it's going to be taxable in the year it is received. And I was aware of some of the unemployment claims that were self-employed individuals from the 2017 hurricane, because there were also disaster benefits for the self-employed. They did not receive some of those checks until December 2019.
Okay.
So it was included in the 2019 income. Ask me if they were still thrilled to get those checks.
I'm sure they were.
Yeah. So it's happening. It's just a little slow, but do reach out, do start getting your applications and things in. Again, hand claps and blessings to the people at the DOL, because they're processing an unprecedented amount of paperwork. And with adding the $600 a week, which there was never a system for, and having to develop a system for the self-employed, it is not business as usual for them.
What do you think the percentages of self-employed individuals are here in the Virgin Islands?
I've never seen a statistic on it, but if I take my gut instinct from driving around and looking at the small businesses, the food trucks, the guys washing cars, babysitters, you look around on Facebook, there's so much. My gut instinct is that we probably have 30-40% of the eligible workforce.
Okay.
Because kids, some take those out of the deal. I'm thinking it's an extremely high number here. A lot of small businesses, because we just don't have very many employers that employ a lot of people.
Yeah.
The government, of course, is huge. But after the government, start working your way down, and you're thinking about it and go, well, gee, even Good Hope Country Day School, does that qualify as a bigger employer?
Yeah.
Or Kmart?
Yeah. And the thing too with self-employment is, I guess it takes the burden from an employer and puts the burden of the taxes and the healthcare on the employee, or the 1099 recipient.
Yeah. The contractor.
The contractor, if you want to call it that. Yeah, the contractor.
And they think they're an employee, but at 1099, you're a contractor.
Yeah,
you are a self-employed individual. And there is a lot of small businesses here that employ a handful of people, whether it be as a W-2 employee or as a contractor.
Yes. Yes.
Just a handful. But when you add all of those jobs up all together, it's a huge amount of our population.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Sounds good to me. Credit card tips and tricks for benefits.
We're just going all over. There's got to be a nugget here for everybody somewhere. Okay, one of the things that I teach, I've had the privilege of teaching for AARP on contract on courses I authored. For those of you who had a chance to come before, we're not doing anything live through the end of the year. But we are going to be doing classes on Facebook on a variety of topics, and those will be rolled out here a little later this month. So watch for that. It's coming back. Another change as part of COVID. We went over this in class, and it was a real eye-opener for a lot of people. You have a credit card, Dave?
No, I don't, to be honest with you. I do not.
You don't?
No, I do not.
Okay. Are you a cash-only kind of guy or debit card?
Yes, cash only debit card. If I don't have the cash, I don't get it. And if I need to get it, I save my pennies.
All right. So we're going to use the example. We're going to use your debit card. See, there are credit cards out there, assuming that you've got a reasonable credit rating and assuming that you're willing to pay your bills on time once a month, that every time that you use it, they will pay you 1%, 2%, 3%, or 5% cash back, which adds up to be a huge amount of money over time. I know. And with doing that, all I need to do is change your behavior a little bit. Instead of going to buy your groceries, your gasoline, your cell phone bill, whatever the case is, whatever you spend money on, we take that and we have that go on a cashback card. And let's say it's a 2% cashback card because they're pretty popular. So when you go to pay for it, instead of taking your debit card out, you take your cashback card out and you pay for it. Now let's pretend that you incurred the expense January 1st on your credit card. You get a bill February 1st. The bill's due about February 25th. You did not spend the money out of your checking account because you didn't use the debit card. So your checking account should look fat and happy. So when you get the bill, you will have no problem paying the check because you're spending like you spent before. You're just paying it in one installment. Now let's pretend, because it's a number, that you spent $2,000 that month on whatever it is you spent it on. 2% of $2,000 is $40. So the credit card company is going to pay you $40 to pay that bill on time. Now, if you do that 12 months in a year, that's $480 in cash that you earn for paying it on time. That's one thing. The other thing I want people to watch with the debit cards is I had an elderly couple that I worked with. And when I was looking through, I said, why are you guys spending almost $50 a month on bank charges? And they thought, we're not spending $50 a month on bank charges. Yes, you are. And I showed it to them. The account that they had, because they used their debit card for everything. If they bought $1.98 2 ice cream cones at McDonald's, we used the debit card so we could keep track of all of our expenses, which was really a great intention. If they used that debit card more than 10 times a month, they were charged a 50-cent transaction fee. It didn't matter if they spent $1.98 or $5,000. So they were spending almost $50 a month between the two of them because he had his account and her account. And we know we've all heard that to do this. And so with that particular couple, when I got them convinced and we switched them over, put them on a different card, and then also got them on a hotel card because of medical and going back and forth, we were able to switch it up. So they were saving $50 a month on bank fees. Well, that's $600 a year they got to keep. And in their case, again, about $250 a year, maybe a little more that they were getting. So that was $850 that they didn't have to do anything different through on their lifestyle that they could use it for. And then with their hotels, by going back, I called them up and I said, how long did you stay there? We went back and worked with the hotel manager and they made an exception and gave them their little membership card and whatever. And because we took the little extra effort of making sure you have that hotel rewards card, they had 10 free nights at the hotel. Plus now every time they check in, they get free water and a free breakfast because they're gold or platinum, diamond, whatever it was.
Membership, yeah.
And so 10 nights a year, we figured was worth at least $105. So that was $1,005 in hotel stays.
Okay.
So if I can just sometimes train you to do things a little different at the machine, instead of the debit card, can you use a cashback card? I can get more money in your wallet, but it doesn't really change your world dramatically.
Okay. Makes sense. I definitely agree with you.
I want you to think about it. And all right, everybody's going to go, where do you get them? Where do you get them? You know what an internet browser is? You ever used one of those? Go in, type in cashback credit cards and see what comes up.
Okay.
You'll get a whole list of them. And it's very possible if we have some of our viewers that already have credit cards and they are not cash back or airline miles, if you do a lot of flying that's important to you, you can call whoever is the issuer, not plugging anybody. Maybe you work with Citibank, maybe you work with Bank of America, whoever you work with, Banco Popular, whoever,
Mm.
and ask them, do you have a cashback card? And it may be that all you have to do is change from the card you're already using to a different card that would be more beneficial to you.
Okay. Do any of the local banks offer cashback cards?
The local banks, I am not sure, but I do know that Banco Popular does have an Air Miles card that is tied in with American Airlines.
Okay.
And Banco Popular has some different things. And periodically, if you have good credit, Banco Popular, if you have carried balances and you're trying to get out of the debt hole, one of the offers I have seen more than once from them is to take your high interest balances from other cards and to transfer it to a Banco Popular card. It is at 0% interest for 12 months. Make your payments. Don't pay the interest. And then they also will give you 12 months of no payments. I don't recommend that.
Okay.
But if you had a $10,000 balance that you transferred and you were paying 24% on a card, and I see it, that's $2,400 in interest you could save by moving it to Banco Popular in 1 year. And what should you be doing while it is at Banco Popular? Pay that baby down.
Yeah, pay it down. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
you can use these tools to help you. And if you don't know what to do with your debts, or you just don't know what your options are, you need to talk to somebody, talk to a credit counselor, talk to a financial advisor, because there are cases where I have recommended that people refinance a paid off car so that we could pay off high interest credit cards and then have this problem solved in 3 years and quit paying 24% and instead pay 7%.
Mm.
Lock it in. So there are alternatives for you, but how do you take some of these financial tools you're already using and then make them work to your advantage? Somebody is making money off of you using financial tools.
Yeah.
You should get some of that money.
Yeah. And you offer those kind of services too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it touches money, that's what I work with. And I'm here to help people, whether it's individuals, small businesses. We're all in this together. And if I help lift you up, you can help lift someone else up. And if we all get to rise together, that benefits everybody. And there's no need for any of us to stomp on each other trying to climb up a ladder. It's just as easy to hold hand and all float together.
Yeah.
Let's all go together.
That's it. Well, Amy, you've shared some good stuff with us tonight. I think most people are very interested in the small business COVID PPP. Is that right? PPP? And probably the self-employment individual benefits, unemployment benefits, because as we both agree, there's probably a lot of people here that are getting paid as a contractor.
Yes.
Whether you're making $15 an hour or $100 an hour, you're still a contractor, and you're not getting any taxes paid. But it looks like
this is an opportunity.
Yeah, there's some money there that you can get once you apply, and it sounds like that part for the self-employed, that part of the labor program is not yet kicked off yet. I guess they're trying to do all the employed, self-employed and employed folks, if I could put it that way, first, and then they'll tackle all the self-employed individuals second.
Right. And I think realistically, if I was planning a project or you were, the first project you're going to complete is going to be the ones that you have all the resources to do.
Okay.
They've got the resources to process the normal unemployment. I mean, this is my observation. So they're processing everything they can, but until they have got the resources in place to process the others, let's not hold everything up.
Okay.
Let's do what we can. So
Okay.
I truly believe that they're doing as much as they can as they get systems built out to do what else they need. But they didn't need these processes and systems before.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and we're not unique. Every other state has had to step back and do this very same thing of building their systems to be able to handle the $600 payments, the amount of people, and handle the $600 payments, which are separate and then handle the programs for the self-employed. And what's happening often stateside when people are applying is they're automatically getting rejected because they didn't have W-2 wages and they don't have the self-employed system set up. So they turned it in, but they threw them out, and it wasn't correct, but the system didn't have a way to process them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So we're really, I know it seems like a long time, and I'm not making excuses for them, but in a lot of ways for the self-employed disaster unemployment, I think we're on par with stateside because they all had to go to the table to build it.
Okay. I mean, all as in all states.
Yeah.
I got you.
All states had to do the same thing. So they're working, but everybody had to do that.
Okay. That sounds fair. It makes sense. Yeah, this is an unprecedented time, and I guess everybody's working hard to get their benefits out to individuals. So, Amy, you've shared a lot of good knowledge to our listeners tonight, our viewers tonight. Amy Rose Herrick is the It's Your Perspective talk show financial advisor. She comes on. She's been coming on our show from the very beginning, like at least once a year around tax time, and to share. But this year is a little different. There's some more things to worry about, some more things you can apply for. Always some good information on retirement, and the credit cards. Some people have them, some people don't. But I guess if you do it right, do the math and all that right, you will save yourself some money. And it's ultimately what we want to do is keep as much money in our pocket as possible. So Amy, I'm going to.
I tried to fill your hour for you, and I tried to put a little bit of everything. So there's got to be, like I said, some little nugget. Got to be a nugget in there somewhere for whoever's here. Yeah. And let me give my phone number.
Yes, please. I was just going to say.
I'm very easy to find. If you put me in any browser, it's Amy Rose Herrick, AMY Rose, ROSE, Herrick, HERRICK. And my email is amy@amyroseherrick.com. I live in the U.S. Virgin Islands full-time, been here several years, and my phone number is 785-224-8954. So I can be found. I'm a wealth of odd information, so don't hesitate to reach out.
Yes.
We're all here to help each other.
And Amy does have, I think she said, 6 books on Amazon that deal with various aspects of financial resources. So if you want to read a book and get some insight, go on Amazon, order the book, and be enlightened. It's all about keeping as much money in your pocket as possible, but I guess you can save ultimately towards retirement, right? I guess that's how you look at that.
And I'll give one quick plug there too. Like I said, if you look on the AARP Facebook page, they are going to be announcing the classes coming up first. And the classes that we're planning to do online, the first one is managing your credit cards and your credit score. The second one is managing your taxes. Third will be managing your mortgage. And then the fourth one is protecting your ID from theft. And we're going to have other courses throughout the year, but those are just the first couple. And so we're working on the rest of what the schedule would be since we're not able to do the live classes now.
Okay.
But they're free. AARP, this is a community service. You do not have to be retired. It is for anybody of any age. So, log on. You'll learn a lot and enjoy yourself. There'll be very short classes. There'll be about 30 minutes and about 15 minutes of questions.
Okay. Okay, perfect. We didn't get any questions. I did pin up a comment on there trying to rile up the troops to get any questions. And we did have one young lady that was just on our show recently, and she said that this was a great informational session. So the information is good. So Amy, I want to thank you so much for coming on the It's Your Perspective talk show again. You're always welcome. As Soup likes to say, you're always part of the family now. You always have good information, and if you have anything new or updated, just let us know, and we can surely put you back on our schedule so that you can share the information to the viewers out there. Just want to say
it's a pleasure. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Tell Soup I missed him, but I'll see him out and about. So tell him he is missed tonight.
Yes, I will. So I want to say real quick that this is the HR Perspective Talk Show every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. until. Check out our internet radio station, streaming live from the VI.com. Our show is pushed, the stream for our show is pushed to our Facebook page. It's Your Perspective Talk Show. So on that note, we're out. It's about 8:14 p.m. on Thursday, June 11, 2020. Everybody be safe, wear your mask, and stay 6 feet apart, and enjoy yourself. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Bye-bye.